did the monster mash.
Silence! I kill you!
It was a graveyard smash. It caught on in a flash.
There we go.
I'm surprised. I'm not surprised. The Monster Mash starting off our Halloween show. Hey, we got a double whammy today, guys.
That's
at
right, we do.
6 minutes after 4 o'clock. WSBR Tom Trento here. Double whammy. It is what kind of Friday?
It is. We just said it. It's
Jumpin'
Jumpin'
Juma
Juma Freaky Friday.
But you know you're rocking and rolling when that falls on Halloween. I mean,
That's
how
right.
often does that
Oh,
happen?
that's right.
That's like Halley's Comet coming down Madison Avenue in New York or something.
Yeah, jihadis got to be going crazy.
They
today,
got to be
man.
going nuts.
We do
man.
not celebrate your kuffar satanic holidays.
Abdullah, welcome to the show at 8 minutes after 4. Juma, you been there today?
Yes, I am fresh from Juma prayers.
Why do you still have your costume on?
This is not a costume.
Oh, okay, sorry.
That was very
You got a little hat
insulting.
on, and you got little other things.
Yes,
and
that is how I dress. You know that is how I dress.
you have an
Trento.
untrimmed beard,
Yes,
no mustache,
correct.
and a freaking gigantic bump on your head. What is that?
Yes,
You put that on?
that is from all the headbanging I do,
Okay,
from
okay,
a
that's
prostrating
good, that's
5
good.
times a day.
Okay.
Yes.
All
Tom,
right.
Can I tell you something?
What?
Of all the days I have ever missed, yesterday was the day when you have the infamous
Well, we didn't
Anjem
wanna tell you.
Chowdhury.
You.
Yes.
yeah.
I missed it. I was so disappointed, but the show was fantastic.
Did you like it?
It was your best show ever.
We got a lot of positive responses on our show interviewing Anjem Chowdhury, the Sharia expert, United Kingdom. Some people call him a terrorist,
Freedom fighter.
freedom fighter, all of that stuff. You're calling him. We wanted him to share his thoughts. You can go to youtube.com, The United West. Look at yesterday's show, October 30th. You got to watch it. It's on Breitbart TV right now. Breitbart.
The whole show, yeah.
Yeah,
It was such-
Breitbart.com.
it
Go
was
to
such a good
Breitbart,
show.
then go to the TV tab, and you'll see on that page our interview with Anjem Chowdhury. It was very fascinating. You did miss it. We
I
let
cannot
him.
believe it.
We simply asked him questions and let him establish his understanding of Islam, which is virtually our understanding of Islam. We reach, the analysis is the same. We reach different conclusions. We say, whoa, if that's true, everybody's in trouble. And he says, whoa, if that's true, no, only non-Muslims are
they're
in
in
trouble.
trouble, right.
So
Yes, he's fantastic. He's modern day Muhammad.
I guess he has agreed to come back on, and we will
good.
do that. And a couple of folks that said, "Don't give that slime bag," all of this
Any type
a
of- yeah,
platform, and we do.
What did they call him?
They call him all kinds of names.
Yeah,
we
some
didn't call him
bad-
any names.
We didn't call him any names. No.
You were very, very cordial.
The only name I called him was my enemy. And I called him a friend at one point. I said, "We're friends,"
No, and he
But
said
you did.
no. He
but
said
you
he-
did say you love him. You wanna be
he-
friends with
First
him.
of all, he says, "I'm not your friend, Tom."
He
And-
cannot be. He stated that he could not be friends with you because you are not a believer.
Should I try to friend him on Facebook? What do you think? No, then I told him I love him.
You love him. You want to kiss him. You-
Tommy and Amjem sitting in a tree.
In the Christian world, there are four types of categories of love. There are 4 words, 3 in particular, for the word love in the New Testament in Greek, and one is adelphia. No, that's brotherly love, phileo. But there's a brotherly kind of love, the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. So Adelphos is brother, and phileo is love. It's a brotherly love. But I'm commanded as a Christian not only to love my friends, but to love my enemies. And he is my enemy.
That is where our religions
I
differentiate.
know. And in the
as
sense-
he made clear.
He
I
made
know.
clear
There is
that,
no
yeah.
need to love your enemies. Crush them.
If I
Kill them.
insult his prophet, he says, I have to kill you. You have to die by the state of Islam, he said. And from what people have told me, we have insulted his prophet a couple of times.
Just a few.
If he insults my prophet, Jesus, big deal. Jesus can handle it. Not a problem, I'm not going to kill him, and I'll extend my love to him. Now, does that mean That he's not an enemy? No, he's a serious enemy of the state, enemy of mine. But we'll engage on that. We got other enemies to deal with today, folks. 4 days until the election at 11 minutes after 4 o'clock on October 31st. Jumpin' Juma Freaky Halloween today.
That's right.
And if you're getting in your automobiles right now, and you only got a few minutes, here's the thesis, the main proposition, the big idea to our show today. Charlie Crist, the Democratic nominee for governor of the state of Florida, is indeed, when it comes to national security, an enemy of the state. He's an enemy of the state. That means his national security policies for the state of Florida will be detrimental, deleterious for the low information voters listening. Bad for the state of Florida. He is terrible on Islamic jihad. He is terrible on Islamic issues. He is terrible on terrorism issues, knowingly so. He is not ignorant. That can't be excused. But when you have an individual who knowingly downplays the Islamic threat to this state, they become an enemy of this state. You can't, in good conscience, vote for this man for governor. That's our whole show.
That's it.
Have a
I just
great
wanna add-
weekend, everybody.
Have a wonderful weekend.
I want to add one quick key point.
Okay.
This man right here.
Oh, we're going to present evidence to support our
Yes,
thesis? Is
this
that what
man
we're doing?
right here. Imam Muhammad Musri.
For you driving, we're putting graphics up. Go to theunitedwest.org when you get home. Watch the show at 4 o'clock. Actually, a little bit after 4 o'clock. At 4 o'clock, and you'll see the graphics. Go ahead, Mark. Tell us about that.
Yes, we went inside the mosque covertly, and captured on film a Hamas fundraiser. And when I say Hamas fundraiser, I mean the terrorist organization, especially designated terrorist organization Hamas, funds being raised by the Islamic faith-based advisor to Charlie Crist, Muhammad Musri, the guy right in the middle screenshot of your picture. The guy who was doing the fundraising was the guy to the left of him, known as George Galloway. And you might have heard of George Galloway before because he is a openly supporter, fundraiser for Hamas. Brings him in his mosque and does a fundraiser. Think about that, folks. The governor's faith-based advisor brings a known Hamas fundraiser into his mosque to raise money for Hamas. Right there in the story. The guy
That is
does
what
not
Hamas
deceive the governor.
fundraisers do, is they raise money for Hamas, Mark.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, let's look at it like this. Come here.
All right.
Here we
Zoom it.
have.
I need to zoom
Here
it.
we have Charlie Crist. The year is 2009. Charlie Crist is the governor of the state of Florida. He hand selects Imam Musri, M-U-S-R-I. Here's Imam Musri, my nice writing. Imam Musri brings into the Goldenrod Mosque in Orlando a team of Hamas supporters, in particular the man that Mark just talked about, very, very bad man who loves the Jewish people.
Liar.
What did he just do in the United Kingdom? He's a member of parliament in the
Oh,
United
yeah,
Kingdom.
he did that.
He
Something like
declared
that.
his town Jew-free.
Jew-free. No Jews allowed in my
Or
town.
Israeli-free. I'm sorry, Israeli-free.
Jew-free.
No Israeli products, no Israeli people, and certainly no Jews.
That's
Okay.
called Jew-free. They're,
So that's George
It's
Galloway.
for Judenrein.
So George Galloway, now Charlie Crist hand selects Imam Musri, Mohammed Musri, in Orlando, 2009. Musri brings in a fundraiser for Hamas. You happen to go into that mosque, Mark. This is not hearsay, folks.
No.
Come back to me for a minute here.
Okay.
This is not hearsay. J. Mark Campbell, our director, was personally inside the mosque and videotaped. We're going to show you a little bit of the footage. Videotaped a federal crime being violated, money being raised for a designated terrorist organization during the reign of Charlie Crist. The video that you're going to see, a little piece of it, all of the footage, hour, 2 hours, was confiscated by the FBI, held on to for about a year, then Galloway was no longer allowed to come back into the United States. He was no longer a member of Parliament at that point. He then got reelected in 2012 and regained his diplomatic status to travel into Western countries. But what's the gist of this? The gist is that Charlie Crist oversaw Musri, who was his right-hand man for all things Islamic in the state of Florida, and Musri collaborated with Hamas operatives to violate federal law. Pretty simple.
What's hard about this?
What's hard about that?
That
Look at my
is
drawing.
guilt by
you know?
association. You're just doing guilt by association.
Yeah, when someone raises money for Hamas in my mosque, you know, and that's my
Zakat.
advisor.
It is called
Hey,
zakat.
it's very possible. We'll take the defense for Charlie Crist that he didn't know. I didn't know about.
I
any
didn't
of
know
this.
that.
I don't
Oh,
know
I didn't
My
know about
hair,
it.
I'm
Oh.
getting my tan. I'm working on important stuff. How do I know about some?
I'm
little
working
Muslim,
on arranging fake marriages for myself.
How do I know about some Muslim thing going on in Orlando? Well, Mark was in that mosque personally. I, not hearsay, myself and Frank Gaffney on Muslim Day, a little
Muslim
earlier,
Capital Day.
Muslim Capital Day, a little earlier in the year 2009. That was in March. The event you videotaped was in June.
Right.
In March, I was at Muslim Capital Day, as were you, as were you, Mark, in March 2009. Not hearsay. We were there. Myself and Frank Gaffney met with Governor Charlie Crist. He was walking on the campus of the Tallahassee Capitol. Went up to him. I introduced him to Frank Gaffney. I said, Governor, Frank Gaffney heads up Center for Security Policy in Washington, the #1 conservative think tank. Oh, I know about Frank. Nice to meet you. Frank doesn't play games because Chris says to Frank, what are you guys doing here? Frank said, I'm here for a serious reason. I came down from Washington. We're here for Muslim Capital Day, and it's headed up by Ahmed Badir,
Right.
who used to head up CARE. Ahmed Badir is a Muslim brother. He's a problem for your state. And Frank goes on to start laying out the threat of Islamic jihad in Florida. What do you think Charlie Crist said? I was there. I was there.
He probably said, knowing if I was the governor, wow, do you have some, can you come by my office and lay out the evidence and for me? And because of course that's what he said, wasn't it?
Yes, he said, no, that's not what he said. What he said was his whole demeanor changed. He was the politician in his slick suit and all of that.
Right.
And when Frank raised an issue in his state with the Islamic community, now are we indicting all Muslims? Obviously not. We're saying within the Islamic community, you got serious problems.
Oh, Ahmed Badir is a definite cultural terrorist.
Yeah, without question, and we've
Right.
established that. And this is 2009 now, and Frank starts to let out the Charlie Crist face, like The Exorcist, just changed, and he goes, "You guys don't know what you're talking about." Now he becomes the Islamic expert. Not Frank Gaffney, not myself, who knows a little bit about this. That's impossible. Well, Frank says, we'd like to explain to you. No, it's not a possibility. He shut us down. He would have talked to us for 20 minutes if we were saying, we want to put a fundraiser for you together, Charlie. You're a great guy.
Right.
When we say you got a problem in the Islamic community, he shut us down and just said, I'm done with you guys, and walked away.
Right.
Well, that's what the chief executive of the state should be doing, right?
Yeah.
And again, he knew Frank. He knew Frank's bona fides. He worked for Reagan, all of this. And he blows us off, walks away. Frank looks at me and just goes, that's the problem, man. You know, these guys don't want to face reality. It's 2009.
Right.
Now, obviously, since then, we've been proven on the various problems in the state, of the Islamic problems within the state. We've been proven on the reality of what we said. This guy's running again for office.
I know.
You've got to be friggin' kidding me.
And this
Unbelievable.
is also back during the time, just to show how right we were back then and how right we are now. This is back during a time when you and Frank and everybody were trying to alert people to this group called the Muslim Brotherhood, and everybody said, no, that's a mythical, magical
Muslim
group.
Brotherhood, right, exactly.
And now it's a household word. Thank you.
All right, now our show's over. Another reason, with Frank Gaffney and I, with the governor blew off us. You know, if somebody told me, you got a possible terrorist problem with members of, let's use the Italian thing, Tom, in your Italian community, you've got a possible mafioso problem in parts of Florida, which is for real.
Hey, there is no mafia. There ain't no mafia.
And I was the governor.
Hypothetically.
And if I was the governor, if I was in the pocket of La Cosa Nostra, I'd blow the people off. We got no problem.
No,
So maybe Crist is in the pocket of Muslim Brotherhood. I would say,
yes.
hey, look, give me your number. Let's go get in touch. Let's set a meeting. I need to be briefed on this. I need to be briefed. This is not some schmuck. This is one of the leading national security experts in the country.
Assistant Secretary of Defense, former Assistant Secretary of Defense to Ronald Reagan.
He should have said, I need to be briefed on this. Let's talk about it. He
Right.
blew us off. He was covering for these guys.
And he was a Republican at the time.
And he was
That,
I don't know if he was that day.
Then-
Yes, he was.
Yes, he was.
That day in March
had an
2009,
arm
he was a
behind him.
Republican. All right, so the show's over. Enough information for people not to vote 4 days from the election for Crist, do you think? Or should we give them some more information?
do you want to actually show the federal crime being committed?
Let's show the federal crime being committed in Orlando. And Galloway was punished for this crime. I don't know why they didn't go after Imam Musri, the federal government more so.
Because that'd be Islamophobic.
It could be, but play a minute or two for the folks. Take a look at this. Circa June 2009, Orlando, Goldenrod Mosque. The person playing the video was the person shooting the video.
These are Palestinians shipping from here from Florida to New York, and from New York to Egypt, and from Egypt we will put it into Gaza, inshallah, God willing. You should have no ambiguity here. You have to make sure that you're really plain about what your mission is here. I came to raise money for this
I
particular
can raise money for this particular affair.
who will
Monty Bray.
give, pledge, donate, raise, commit tonight for $10,000. Who will it be? Takbir!
This is $10,000 being raised for Hamas.
Alhamdulillah, we got two.
For Palestinians to kill Jews in Israel.
$20,000 being raised for Hamas.
Takbir!
$30,000 being raised for Hamas.
You young baby brothers, move quickly. Move quickly. Yeah, if you write a check, your check should be made payable to
Hamas USA.
MAS Freedom. And also we're 501c3. Well, I want to let you know that your donation is
$55,000 we counted
Your
being
donation
raised
is
here,
tax
Tom.
deductible. I'll say it one more time. Your donation is tax deductible.
Takbir!
Yep. And this is Muhammad Musri. He hit up the mosque for this man, George Galloway, who is coming on your screen right now.
All right, so we know that in June of 2009.
Whatever we
Well,
brought,
Oh, listen to
Yeah,
this.
this is George Galloway.
we will give tomorrow, inshallah, at 10 o'clock in the morning. We will give all our vehicles, our keys, our aid, our money to Ismail Haniyeh, the elected Prime Minister of Palestine.
Hamas leader.
I personally am about to break the sanctions on the elected government of Palestine. We're giving this money now.
He's handing bags full of cash,
To the government of Palestine.
physically
Raised-
handing
And
cash.
if I
Raised
could,
in Orlando.
I would give them 10 times, 100 times more.
Now,
Boy, he has a funny accent when he's
No.
talking to Arabs, doesn't he?
right there, that is the crime being committed. They just gave money to Hamas.
When you're-
George Galloway gave money earlier in that video to Hamas, and then came to Orlando to raise more money,
More money and
to
then
give
went
to
back,
Hamas.
Went back and gave it to him. When you're a designated terrorist organization by the State Department, which the Hamas is, you can't provide material support. And if you look at the statute, has about 20 things you can't do. You can't write them love letters. You can't give them money. You can't give them
Especially
airplane
can't give
tickets,
them money.
You can't give them anything. And he's there saying, I broke the restrictions, the sanctions, by giving them money. And some of that money at a later point was raised in Orlando. So what's our point? Charlie Crist hand-selected Imam Musri, who brought in this guy. Now, do you think after this happened, Crist said, I got to get rid of Musri? No, not
No.
at all. Musri was the confidant for the Islamic society in the state of Florida.
Orlando.
And then when Scott got elected, he got elected in what year? 2010, was it 10?
10.
10, yeah.
Yeah, 2010. What is it now? 14.
Yeah, right.
Yes. Hi, Tom. How are you?
2010.
Hi, welcome to 2014, Tom.
And the renewal.
WSBR 740.
And whatever you do, don't watch this on Tea Party Community. Do not watch this show on teapartycommunity.com.
And for all my Muslim friends, do not watch this at all.
Now, you can go to teapartycommunity.com, even though they make fun of me over there for not knowing the time or date
or year now.
or where I am. But these time, you know how many things I got? Try to keep all these Muslim names in order.
And then try to do a
Omar
daylight
Khan.
saving time in UK and try not to mess that up.
I know. We need help here, or a lot of money. We need help at the United West, or a lot of money. A bunch of interns. We need interns. It's a way to subversively infiltrate our operation.
But anyway, back
to
to
2010.
Speaking of CARES hiring, also they're looking for a regional director in Orlando.
I want to do a story on that, man. I want to run. I want the job. I think they came out with some sort of hit list. People are calling.
Oh,
it.
Yes.
No.
Oh, congratulations.
You're on it. You're right.
Yes.
You're featured right next to Bill Maher.
Oh, Bill Maher. Oh, good.
Hey, for the listening audience, CARE came out with their new annual list of giant Islamophobes.
We can't do that story right now.
And,
we'll have to
Yeah, that's
say-
another story.
we'll
We
go
got
on
so
to-
much stuff. We
gotta-
got 20 pounds.
But Tom made the list. He's
Tom
a,
made the
he's a
CARE
big
hit list.
hitter in the land of Islamophobia.
Yeah. But in any event, we'll talk about that at another point. But in 2010, when Rick Scott got elected governor, and he's the guy running in 4 days, and what we know about that is that he served in the United States Navy honorably, and he has served this state quite well. And in particular on national security issues, and you got a military guy. He doesn't strike people as a military guy. He's kind of soft-spoken, all of that.
Yeah.
But he signed that oath to commit his life to defend the Constitution, something Charlie Crist never did in the military.
Right.
Now, we got two people. We got a military guy running for re-election, and we got I don't know how you phrase Charlie Crist. He's never really had a real job.
Is he really a guy?
And we got a situation where the Islamic State is declaring attacks and mobilizing people. You want a military guy in charge of your state, or you want a slick politician? That's all you got to know. That's our point for today. Rick Scott makes more sense from a national security perspective. Well, in 2010, follow the timeline, Scott becomes the governor, and Charlie is out of office. He wants to do something. He likes this politics stuff. What does he do?
He runs for Senate.
Runs for center.
Runs for the United States Senate as a Republican. And then Marco Rubio pops up, and he starts pulling ahead. What does Crist do at that point?
He flips. He goes.
Well, no, he lost the Republican nomination.
Nominee.
He lost to Rubio,
Rubio.
in the primaries.
And he still wants to.
be senator.
He runs as a Republican against
Can't
Marco
win.
He
Can't
loses the nomination
Correct.
in April
Because
or so.
the Republicans see Charlie Crist for who he is.
Yeah.
He is a person who wants to do anything to be elected office.
And then he says, is there any way I could possibly continue to run? Yeah,
Yes.
you can run as a Green Party or some cornball party.
But he went the
Independent Party because he had an epiphany.
Yeah.
He really wasn't a Republican. They're a little too strict.
He talked to Michelle.
He likes
they're
this
so
kind of
conservative. They don't like the gay marriage thing.
yeah. He likes this kind of loosey-goosey, kind of anything goes. I'll be an independent. I'll make up my mind. I don't need a political philosophy by which to understand the world and make decisions. I'll just kind of make them in an ad hoc sort of way. Runs as an independent, loses. Okay. Charlie, you gave it your best shot. You're gone. 2014.
So you think-
Well, he's like a weed.
It
man.
is Halloween.
He's the Chucky doll.
He is. He's
the
like
Charlie
a weed.
doll.
Yeah, he is. He pops up.
He dies. He pops back up.
Yep.
Coiffed, perfectly coiffed, right? Pops back up, married, all of that stuff.
Oh, yeah, he's married.
He's
Yeah,
the Richard Nixon of Democrats.
Now listen, he pops back up, and he's got to run to be the governor of the state again. He gave the Republican deal a shot. But now
That
he's got-
through burn that
He
bridge.
burned that bridge. Yeah.
Gave the independent thing. That
Hard to
didn't work.
raise money as an independent.
Green Party. What do you think?
Nah.
Not going to happen. Communist Party? What other parties are out there that, there's 20 of them on the ballot, but I forget the name.
Islamic Party.
The Islamic Party? Yeah, he was giving that a question. No, he ran.
They just formed the Islamic political party.
That's right.
They take all the terrorist alphabet
Charlie
soups.
Crist, 31 minutes after, on our Freaky Friday, Jumpin' Juma, Halloween, October 31st, it's a mouthful. Show at 32 minutes after 4 o'clock. Tom Trento here with the boys. We're giving you 100 reasons, and we haven't come to the best reason yet. 100 reasons why you should not vote for Charlie Crist on national security reasons. That's our primary focus, terrorism today, folks. Not just the insanity of Charlie Crist's other waffling and meandering views, but he decided in 2014, had another epiphany, and said, all my life I was a Republican, and then I experimented with being independent, and that brought me around to the true beliefs that are internal to me from day one. I'm a Democrat. That's what he came up with. And he's running now as a Democrat, and as of today, I can't believe this, Mark. What did you tell me when you walked in the studio?
Quinnipiac poll, Crist is 3 points up on. It's really hurt me to say because all the other polls show him Crist either up or tied, and he's got like a +2 margin on overall average.
It's tight because of the margin of errors within the league.
Dream on.
Now,
Yeah, we heard that last time.
My question is, how much is Adrian Wiley taking away? Because that's bleeding
I don't blame this on Adrian Wiley. If Republicans just come out and vote, Christians, if they just come out and vote, you won't have this other guy in office who's going to. And don't just tell me, well, I don't like either candidate. Listen, we cannot have Charlie Crist in office. It's horrendous for the national security of Florida.
And the state of Israel.
Tom, show them that other evidence that we have with the Omar guy.
Well, here's where we are in our show. For those of you just jumping into your automobiles, listening, our thesis, our main idea, our big idea, our main point is that the Democrat nominee for governor, who is ahead right now, ahead of Rick Scott, is dangerous for national security as it relates to Islamic terrorism and dangerous for the state of Israel, our number one national security partner, defending the West in the Middle East against Islamic jihad. Crist is the wrong person in the third largest state in the nation, a target for Islamic jihadis to be inaugurated, elected, selected as governor. When you got a guy there who, when he came in, he did not re-up Imam Mohammed Musri, who participated in funding Hamas in 2009 as we broke the story, and the FBI threw George Galloway out of the country. Rick Scott did not let Musri back on that faith-based council. To his credit, he saw problems with that individual. And in fact, for no other reason than what we just said, you cannot vote for Charlie Crist. But you want to see something really crazy now? It's 2013 December. Charlie Crist needs a campaign manager. He goes to Bill Hires. He hires Bill Hires, H-Y-R-E-S. He hires Bill Hires. Who's Bill Hires? Bill Hires is the Wunder campaign manager who recently, in 2012, oversaw the successful campaign of Bill de Blasio. Bill de Blasio, who's a communist. I mean, Bill de Blasio has been considered a communist by many people in New York City. Bill de Blasio got elected as the mayor of New York City. Remember the little wiener guy was running against him?
Right.
And he had a wiener problem over there, and he blasted out. De Blasio.
You mean Uma Abedin's husband?
Oh, we have more Islamic stuff up there?
Oh, God.
In any event, Bill Hires was the campaign manager for Bill de Blasio and successfully got Bill de Blasio nominated. Nobody thought Bill de Blasio would ever make it because of his strong Marxist, socialist, communist leanings. But he did. So what does Charlie Crist do as a newly minted a newly minted Democrat. He goes to, now you got to understand, in the Obama Oval Office, when he sees any red state that has an individual running that has a chance of turning that state blue, a little siren goes off in the Oval Office. So when he hears about Charlie Crist, who's a sort of a Hollywood model for campaigning, he goes, oh, if Crist is going to run, we could work our Democrat magic and maybe turn that state blue, own that state for 2016.
Which would be huge.
Obama and Crist have a marriage. They have a wonderful marriage immediately at the end of 2013. And Obama advises Crist, you need Bill Hires. He just got de Blasio. Well, Bill Hires comes down to Florida and meets with Charlie Crist's wife. I think Linda is her name. And that meeting doesn't go so well.
Right.
And Charlie Crist's wife says, screw you, Charlie. I'll be your wife, but I ain't working with that guy. And she puts the kibosh on Bill Hires as Charlie's new campaign manager. At the end of 2013, Charlie Crist's campaign is in turmoil. Who comes to the rescue?
Well,
the new BFF of Charlie Crist. We're looking for a picture here of Charlie Crist and President Obama. I got to tell you guys how to run the show back there. I'm directing the show now.
Because you're right off the script.
You're right off the script, Tom, man. You were just like on, what time is it? It is.
Who does he hire? I don't know. I just he hires Omar Khan up. I guess that wasn't what you're looking for.
Who comes to the rescue of the campaign of Crist in December?
Obama man. The Obama man.
In January of 2014, President Obama comes to the rescue. President Obama comes to the rescue. There we go. There's President Obama rescuing Charlie Crist, January 2013. And he tells Crist, I got your guy. I got your guy. And if you want the help of this White House, if you want any chance of Bill Clinton speaking for you, if you want Democrat money, you will put our guy, Omar Khan, in as your campaign manager.
And that's what happened.
And you're looking at the headline. I believe that's the Washington Post. Crist hires former Obama hand Omar Khan to manage campaign for governor.
Now just stop and think about that.
Got to stop and think. So the intelligent voter, and we have intelligent voters there. There's a picture of Omar Khan, 33 years old right now, a 33-year-old campaign manager for the third largest state in the country for the Democrat Party, a Muslim. He must have some magic. He's got something. He's very close to President Obama. He has worked in the administration for the past several years in several different positions. Can you read some of those positions? Any of you guys back there?
I actually have a video of one of the positions that he was on, Tom.
All right, let's see it.
Yeah, here we go. Just listen and we'll just pause it at the appropriate moment. And Tom, you see if you recognize anybody on this thing. Here we go.
My name is Mika. I'm a project manager on the Obama campaign.
My name's Omar, and I'm on the national...
Whoa.
Who's that there?
My name is who?
Go ahead, play that again.
Omar.
On the Obama campaign.
My name's Omar, and I'm on the national political team.
My name...
Was that Omar Khan?
That was Omar Khan.
What kind of commercial is this?
Oh, this is... Oh, let me just... I'm just going to...
Play a little bit of it.
Play a little bit more of it here. We'll just do that.
My name is Carol, and I'm an intern in the Voter Protection Department.
My parents are so proud of the work that I'm doing for the campaign.
I'm a fourth-generation Japanese-American. We call them Yonsei. My parents are from South Korea.
My father came here with $13 in his pocket.
Coming over from Thailand, my dad started working in LA as a valet. Didn't know how to drive.
My parents came to the States to get their master's degrees.
They wanted their children to dream as big as they did and live even bigger lives.
My father came here as a poor immigrant from Pakistan and achieved
Omar
American
Khan
dream.
right there.
We got naturalized as citizens in October of 2008.
Now we'll just fast forward towards the end here and just show you who actually put this out. Oh, the Obama, Tom? The Obama Biden AAPI BarackObama.com. Got to register to vote. This guy is so right hip of Obama. The right hip of Obama.
Here's a little off his resume. Let's start off in 2002.
We only got a couple of minutes.
Okay, Office of Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi. He was a congressional intern.
Right.
Nancy Pelosi, student body president, University of South Florida. Deputy campaign manager, Democratic Party of Florida, Florida House District 46. College outreach coordinator, Democratic Party, Florida. Deputy political director, Democratic Party of Florida. Florida Young Democrats, president. Biden for president, 08. Obama for America, 08. Texas State Convention director, Obama for America. Next, Florida Campaign for Change, Florida Obama, 08. Obama. Congressional liaison, National Associate Political Director, Obama for America.
All right.
He's an Obama boy.
If a vote for Chris is a vote for Obama.
Yeah. Another reason at 42 minutes after the hour, 4 o'clock on WSBR, 7:40 a.m., to not vote for Charlie Crist, because you're voting for President Obama, who will be the de facto governor of the state of Florida. If you vote for Charlie Crist, he gets elected governor. Your real governor is going to be President Obama through the channeling of Omar Khan, who is so mobbed up with President Obama. Omar Khan was the student body president of the University of South Florida in 2003. In 2002, here's a national security moment that is critically important for everybody to understand. In 2001, we were attacked by Islamic jihad in New York City, in Shanksville, in Washington, D.C. In 2002, we started to harden our country. And Attorney General Ashcroft at that point put together a program that had tremendous legitimization and stability and credibility in federal law and in European law, believe it or not. Put together a program that watched the entrance and exit of foreigners from key Muslim countries where terrorism was a problem. Now, in a sane world, if you identify terrorism in Islamic countries as a problem, and people from those countries are coming to the United States, in a sane world, you'd say, we may have to be a little aware. 1 year after they knocked down the World Trade Center, Ashcroft put together a program on entry and exit, and it had 3 points, very simple. If you're coming in on a visa to visit, we are going to fingerprint you, take a picture of you, and you're going to tell us where you're going. I travel around the world. I have to tell people where we're going, and I'm not coming from a crazy country. Number two, if you are late in coming back on your visa, we're going to find you and play you a visit, say you have to leave. And number three, we're going to make you leave if you don't want to leave. Very simple entry-exit protection program put together in 2002. Guess who in 2003 started working aggressively to ban that program, overturn that program, get rid of that program? Omar Khan, the campaign manager for Charlie Crist, Democratic nominee.
Same thing.
Right now, 11 years later, in 2003, as the student body president, University of South Florida, Jihad U, worked tirelessly with the Muslim Student Association on campus, possibly with Samuel Arian, we're checking out that connection, terrorist, who was very involved teaching at USF. He worked tirelessly and went to Washington, D.C. to work tirelessly to get rid of this program. In 2009, President Obama, when Omar Khan was working with him, shut the program down. Now we can't track students coming into this country from these foreign countries that are terrorist-laden countries.
Thank you, Omar Khan.
It's a complete disaster. Omar Khan was at the center of this, folks, if for no other reason. If for no other reason. And we gave you several of them to vote for Rick Scott over Charlie Crist. His campaign manager has a precarious background when it comes to national security. If this guy gets into office, we're going to do an expanded expose on this. Right now, we're alerting everyone to the problems. But it's important for us right now to go to a dear friend who's been running around this country and this state. He travels all over the place. His love and heart is in the state of Florida. He lives here. He's a lawyer in Orlando. He worked with us very closely with the Rifka Barry case when we assisted her in her dilemma back then. And he's with Florida Family Action, an organization trying to mobilize conservative voters, Christian voters, conservative Jewish voters, and get them in operation. We taped a little earlier a segment with him by phone. He's going to give us an update as to where we are right now. We ready for John Stenberger? Let's put John Stenberger on. Okay, Tom Trento here with an Enemies of the State feature interview with our good friend John Stenberger from Orlando. He's with Florida Action. And the Florida Family Action group is headed up, as I said, by John. And he's been all over this state right now, folks, on just a few days before the election on November 4th. John, are you with us?
John.
Hey, it's great to be with you, Tom.
Excellent.
You're an old friend, and we've been in many battles together.
Yeah, one of the foremost was the Rifka Barry case some years ago, and John was a forefront on that and helped save that young lady who's doing phenomenally well today. But John, we got a critically important election coming up in just a couple of days. Tell the viewers and listeners, we're on internet, TV, radio, all over the place, why the conservative people in Florida, why conservative Christians, conservative Jews ought not vote for Charlie Crist.
My goodness, I think this is an objective statement. What I'm about to say, he could be the slipperiest politician of all times. I mean, who else have you ever known, state, local, or federal, that has been a member of 3 different parties within the matter of a couple years, who has had a position literally on every single issue on both sides? I mean, this is a guy who is a huckster to the 5th degree, and is willing to do say whatever. He's a master of impressions, and the fact that we're even here and the polls are this close shows how the mob is just fickle. We've got to open our eyes and realize we're comparing a guy who's shifting sand with another guy who's not perfect, but he's a solid rock. He stands for something. He's done some great things, and we need to retain him and keep him.
Yeah, John, it boggles my mind how anybody who has any integrity, an ounce of integrity, can vote for a guy that really doesn't know what political philosophy he follows day to day. He seems to be expeditious. Whatever works today gets me in office so that I could live the fine life of a seasoned politician of a significant state. So that's a real commentary, and we'll do that maybe after the election on the voting public. But you and I know, in order for Rick Scott to win, the Christians, the evangelical Christians, your wheelhouse have to come out. What is your message to the Christians today, John, to get out to vote?
Well, I think one of the most important things is the courts. I mean, this is huge because once every 20 years, an event that does not happen often, we have a constitutional revision commission that meets as per the Constitution. I don't think this is a great idea, but this is what the Constitution calls for. And 5 of the 7 members are appointed by the governor. This happens once every 2 decades. It will happen during the next election cycle. The next governor will appoint definitely 1, perhaps as many as 4 Supreme Court justices. Florida has never had a conservative court. The court has always leaned to the left radically or moderately. This is a unique opportunity, literally, for us to change the direction of the state vis-a-vis the courts. This commission can propose all kinds of nonsense that can go into the Constitution, gay, whatever, human rights, whatever. I mean, in 1980, they proposed a privacy amendment, which is an informational privacy amendment, which is a brilliant idea on the heels of Watergate and, banking transfers and faxes coming on the scene. This is in the late 70s. Congress had a Congressional Privacy Commission. But what happened was that 10 years later, they used that informational privacy as an unfettered right to abortion for minors to get the surgical procedure without their parents' notice or consent. So this is a very important window where stuff can happen. And if Charlie Crist is the governor, I can guarantee you he's going to be appointing these social engineers, these futuristic nutcases to this commission, and we're going to have all kinds of nonsense proposed going into our state constitution.
And in addition to his wavering philosophical political positions, you know, while he's a Republican, he's opposed to abortion. Now he went through the independent. Now he's a Democrat. He's for abortion. He was opposed to same-sex marriage. He's for that. He was opposed to, free pot all over the country, all over the state. Now he's for that. In addition to the nonsense of his positions, there seems to be a very unique, close relationship between Charlie and President Obama, who the country has turned against in a great way. What are your thoughts about him being a functionary of Obama in these final 2 years of Obama's regime?
Listen, Charlie Crist is very ambitious. Folks wouldn't even believe this, but this guy wants to be president. I mean, it's very clear from watching him, that those that know him know he's extremely ambitious. I want to be able to say next Tuesday night, ding dong, the Wicked Witch is dead once and for all. I don't want this guy coming to life again and having to deal with him in other generations. So he is a bad actor of the worst kind. He is the most slippery, unreliable, untrustworthy elected official, perhaps in the history of American politics. I say that without hesitation and without exception. I wrote articles years ago when he was running against Tom Gallagher. I said, this guy's a phony. He's an imposter. He's not a real conservative. And it's true. We've seen it come to pass. The party was furious at me back then. Now they have to apologize to me because it was correct.
You were right. Yeah, we had a run-in with him when he had Imam Mohammed Musri of the Goldenrod Mosque in Orlando as his faith-based Muslim advisor. And Musri led in from the UK George Galloway, who was raising money for Hamas. Rick Scott comes in, throws Musri off the faith-based committee. So we know that Charlie Crist is extremely weak on national security and will be in the pocket of the Islamic jihadis in the state. What is your message to the Christians who, God's going to do what he wants to do with these elections? And what's your message to the Christians who need to get up and get out and vote on Tuesday, November 4th?
Tom, I would say, look, if I can't get a Christian person to pull a lever to try to save the life of an unborn child, we're in a sad place. I mean, that's a really difficult place to be in. I would say they need to wake up. They need to understand this is a government by, of, and for the people, that they are commanded by the Scripture. They're commanded by their own faith to participate. This is not an optional government. The form of government requires that you participate. And to not do so, I believe, is a sinful form of silence that is tantamount to the days of Bonhoeffer, where he said, look, to not act is to act, and this is wrong. This is morally wrong for you to not engage. And so I would compel Christians, conservative Jews, people of all good faith to vote and to vote right. The only thing worse than voting is voting for the wrong person. And I'll be frankly tell you, Charlie Crist is the wrong person. He is a mistake of the first order for the state of Florida or any state that he would appear in.
I saw walking by the TV yesterday, I heard Giuliani, and it was a commercial against Crist. He's saying, I've done all this stuff. I've done a tremendous amount of stuff. I've seen so many people. He says the most despicable person I've ever seen is Charlie Crist.
I've never met a person in politics that I disrespect more than Charlie Crist.
Giuliani said that, but I'm more concerned, John, with the pastors in the state of Florida, the Catholic priests and the evangelical pastors. Do you have a program with the various organizations you're involved with where this weekend, the weekend before the election, the pastors are going to find their voices and from the pulpit tell the people to get up and get out and to vote?
We've been talking to pastors all over. Yesterday we had a conference call with Alveda King, niece of Martin Luther King, Bishop Harry Jackson, Mike Huckabee, to hundreds of pastors. We've been doing pastors' conferences. We would encourage folks to go to our website at flfamily.org. We have voter guides that are appropriate for churches. I'm here talking as a private citizen right now. The group that I run is Florida Family Policy Council, and we have voter guides that compare the candidates straight up on the issues at flfamily.org. They're in full color. They show their faces. They have a history of all their voting record on the amendments. Even we have an interactive document on the judges as well. So at flfamily.org, folks can get that information.
So all the information is there. John Stemberger, thank you for taking a few minutes. We know you're very, very busy. You will come back post-election, and we'll do a little wrap-up of all of this. How about that?
I would love to do it.
All right, John, you take care. God bless you. Ladies and gentlemen, John Stemberger, attorney in Orlando, has a private practice, but spends most of his time working to save this state and to return this state to some sane principles. And Charlie Crist does not fit into that equation. Thank you, and we'll be seeing you soon, John. Take care. Woo, I come right out of that into this. Pretty good. Pretty good. That was John Stemberger, dear friend of ours. And John's an amazing guy. He's a very humble guy, very accomplished. I'm getting a little reverb or something here. Very accomplished attorney and significant in the Rifka Barry case, serious Christian, running around the state, trying to save this state. And you heard him, ladies and gentlemen. And that's the gist of our show today, that the conservative movement needs to rise up. Conservative Jewish people, conservative Christians, conservative atheists, whatever you are, need to rise up. This election is too close. Our big idea, our thesis here on WSBR 740 AM, the United West, Tom Trento, 58 minutes after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Our big idea today is that Charlie Crist is dangerous for the national security of the state of Florida. He is dangerous because he doesn't understand the Islamic threat doctrine. He is dangerous because he doesn't have a consistent political philosophy to stand against the evils of the day. He is dangerous because he's aligned himself with the Obama administration, which has screwed up the world and now wants to screw up further the state of Florida. And he's dangerous because he's allowed President Obama to put a hand-picked functionary, Omar Khan, in place in Florida. Florida will be run by President Obama in these last 2 years and the Democrat Party to pave the way for the 2016 election. A lot of you Democrats out there are cheering right now. If, folks, you want a world that is turned to the left, if you want a world that is subsidized with productive people's tax money, if that's the kind of world and state you want, vote for Charlie Crist. If you want a world that is productive, people are striving and working hard, and jobs are growing, and national security is a primary concern, forget about Crist and the Islamic involvement in his campaign through the administration, and vote for Rick Scott. It's that simple. Guys, your thoughts?
Yeah, I just want a quick thing here on the Islamics. You have that book there. We're going to ask people, we're looking for connections to this place right here. And, our listeners, you can provide us you want to tell the name of the person?
Well, we're doing further research on all of these issues in the sad event of Chris getting elected. We're going to look more deeply into Omar Khan and his involvement, and we're going to look into the Islamic Society of Tampa Bay, Estaba. We found some very, very dangerous material from there, see if there's any connections. The Sami al-Arian connection. We've got a tremendous amount of research.
Ahmed Badir.
Ahmed Badir's involved in all of this. So.
I hope he hasn't gotten jealous that we've talked about Hassan Shibli so much.
I know. We're just giving you the tip of the iceberg of the potential Islamic jihad problems with a really Crist with a Crist governorship. But we're trying to avoid that. We don't want to get to that situation. Should we go out with the commercial of Giuliani?
Yes, that'd be a good idea.
I don't think we have enough time to finish it, but
31 seconds.
I have said a lot
Here we
of
go.
in politics.
Giuliani will take us out.
Reagan. I was mayor of New York City. I was the United States attorney for 2,000 years or something. I don't know. It seemed like a long time. I've met a lot of good people and a lot of bad people. I've met people in politics that are wonderful. I've met people in politics that are okay, and I've met people in politics that I don't like. I've never met a person in politics that I disrespect more than Charlie Crist.
Cheer him for that.
I know.
All right. Well, look, the guy needs to go wherever he needs to go. You
Bye-bye.
need to vote for Scott. We got to go. Goodbye.